Imagine being completely alone, miles from anyone, when you suddenly realize the sound you've been hearing isn't your own footsteps. It stops when you stop. It starts when you move. And whatever it is, it knows you're there. Welcome to Unclassified Horror, a place where real encounters, dark legends, and the things we were never meant to see come to life. The channel is going through a hard time right now, and your subscription genuinely keeps these stories alive and growing. So if you enjoy real, chilling horror, consider subscribing. It truly helps more than you think. Now, turn off the lights, make sure you're alone in the room, and let's begin.
What if 5 park rangers vanished over 5 years, all from the same stretch of the Appalachian Trail, and every single one was wearing a body camera? What if those cameras kept recording long after the rangers disappeared? What if the footage showed things that shouldn't exist, things that move between the trees, things that call your name in your own voice, things that have been waiting in these mountains for a very long time? 5 rangers, 5 cameras, 5 pieces of a puzzle that reveals something terrifying about the oldest mountains in America. This is their story, and the footage that was never meant to be seen. My name is Special Agent Victoria Pierce. I'm a federal investigator with the National Park Service's Investigative Services Branch, specializing in missing persons cases within national parks and wilderness areas. I've worked dozens of cases over my 15-year career: lost hikers, suspicious deaths, the occasional homicide. But the case I'm about to tell you about, the case of the 5 vanished rangers, this one changed everything I thought I knew about these mountains. It started in October 2024 when I was called to a meeting at the National Park Service headquarters in Washington, D.C. The director of the ISB, a man named Raymond Thatcher, sat me down in his office and slid a file across the desk. 5 rangers, he said, all assigned to the Appalachian Trail, all vanished over the past 5 years, all in the same general area. I opened the file. 5 names stared back at me. Ranger Olivia Grant disappeared July 15, 2019. Ranger Jackson Moore disappeared September 20, 2020. Ranger Natalie Brooks disappeared August 21, 2021. Ranger Cameron Ellis disappeared October 22, 2022. Ranger Marcus Chen disappeared June 24, 2024. 5 rangers, 5 years, all gone without a trace. I'm familiar with some of these cases, I said. Each one was investigated separately, different circumstances, different conclusions. Thatcher nodded grimly. That's the problem. They were investigated separately. No one connected the dots. No one realized we had a pattern. He pulled out a map of the Appalachian Trail, marking 5 locations with red pins. All of them were clustered in a 30-mile stretch of trail in southwestern Virginia near the North Carolina border, the section that runs through Mount Rogers National Recreation Area and Grayson Highlands State Park. "What's special about this area?" I asked. Thatcher leaned back in his chair. Remote, very remote. Some of the most rugged terrain on the entire trail. High elevation, exposed balds, dense forest, limited cell coverage. Rangers patrol it solo, and 5 of them never came back. He slid another folder across the desk. This one was thicker, heavier. Each ranger was wearing a body camera, he said, standard protocol for solo patrols in remote areas. The cameras were all recovered with their equipment, and they were all still recording when they were found. I felt a chill run down my spine. "Still recording?" I asked quietly. Thatcher nodded. "Every single one. Batteries lasted different amounts of time, but they all captured footage after the Rangers disappeared. The footage was reviewed during the initial investigations, but each case was looked at in isolation. No one watched all 5 videos together. No one saw the connections." He tapped the thick folder. "Until now. I need you to review all the footage, all the evidence, all the reports, and I need you to tell me what the hell is happening out there." I spent the next week in a secure viewing room, going through hundreds of hours of footage. I started with the first case. Ranger Olivia Grant, age 29, 4 years of experience. Disappeared July 15, 2019, while conducting a routine trail maintenance inspection near Rhododendron Gap. The body camera footage started at 9:47 a.m. Olivia was cheerful, professional, documenting trail conditions as she hiked. "This is Ranger Grant, July 15th, trail inspection continuing from Thomas Knob toward Rhododendron Gap. Trail surface in good condition, blazes visible and clear. Weather conditions partly cloudy, temperature approximately 70 degrees. Standard stuff. The video showed exactly what you'd expect: a beautiful mountain trail, grassy balds with panoramic views, rhododendron thickets lining the path." For the next hour, nothing unusual happened. Olivia walked the trail, made notes about minor erosion, took photos of trail markers. Then, at 11:23 a.m., she stopped. "That's weird," she said, her voice quiet on the recording. The camera showed a section of trail ahead. "Someone's built a cairn here. That's not supposed to be on the AT." She walked closer. A stack of stones, maybe 4 feet tall, right in the middle of the trail. "This wasn't here last week," she muttered. She pulled out her radio. "Base, this is Grant. I'm at mile marker 494. Someone's constructed an unauthorized cairn on the trail, requesting guidance on removal." Static. "Base, do you copy?" More static. She frowned, checked her radio. "Radio's working. Must be a dead zone." She took photos of the cairn from multiple angles, then started to dismantle it, moving the stones to the side of the trail. "Trail users need to understand leave no trace principles," she said to the camera. "You can't build structures on the AT. It disrupts the natural—" She stopped. Under the top layer of stones, there was something else. The camera tilted down as she knelt. "What the—" She pulled out a small wooden box, maybe 6 inches square, hand-carved, weathered. She opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper. She unfolded it, read it silently. Her hand started shaking. This is a joke. Someone's idea of a joke." She held the paper up to the camera. In shaky handwriting, it said, "They walk between the trees. They know your name. Turn back before they call it." Olivia stood up, looking around nervously. "Okay, not funny. If this is some hiker trying to create creepypasta stories about the AT, I'm not amused." She put the note back in her pack. "I'm taking this as evidence. Someone's getting cited for this." She continued down the trail, but I could see her body language had changed. She kept looking around, glancing over her shoulder, her previous confidence replaced by visible unease. At 12:15 p.m., she stopped for lunch at a designated camping area. She sat on a log, ate a sandwich, drank water. The camera showed the peaceful forest around her, birds singing, leaves rustling in a gentle breeze. Then, at 12:31 p.m., she froze, mid-bite. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. The camera's microphone picked up nothing unusual, just wind, birdsong. She stood up slowly, turning in a circle. Someone just called my name. Silence on the recording. Hello? Is someone out there? This is a ranger. Identify yourself. No response. She waited for a full minute, then shook her head. I'm hearing things. Too much coffee, not enough sleep. She finished her lunch, packed up her gear, and continued hiking. But over the next 30 minutes, she stopped 3 more times, each time saying she heard her name. Each time, the camera picked up nothing. At 1:47 p.m., the trail entered a section of dense rhododendron forest. The canopy was thick here, blocking out most of the sunlight. The trail became a tunnel through the green. Olivia's breathing had gotten faster. I could hear the stress in her voice. Base, this is Grant. I'm experiencing possible audio hallucinations, requesting permission to abort patrol and return to station. Static. Base, do you copy? Nothing. Damn it. Then, clear as day, the camera's microphone picked up a voice. Olivia. It was distant, echoing, coming from deeper in the rhododendron tunnel. Olivia spun around, the camera swinging wildly. Who's there? Show yourself. The voice came again. Olivia. Closer this time, and here's what made my blood run cold. It sounded exactly like Olivia's voice, like she was calling her own name. This isn't funny, she shouted. Whoever you are, you're interfering with a federal employee performing their duties. Come out now. Silence. Then, from behind her, Olivia. She whirled around. The camera showed the trail she'd just walked, empty, no one there, but the voice had been close, maybe 10 feet away.
She started backing up, her breathing ragged. Okay, I'm leaving. I'm going back. She turned and started walking quickly back the way she came, but after just a few steps, she stopped. This isn't the trail. The camera showed a section of forest that looked different. The rhododendrons were thicker. The trail markers were gone. I just came from this direction. Where's the trail? She pulled out her GPS, stared at it. No signal. GPS isn't working. She turned in a slow circle, the camera capturing nothing but dense vegetation in all directions. I can't have gotten turned around. I was only walking for 30 seconds. The voices started again. Olivia. Right behind her, she spun around. Nothing. Olivia. To her left, she turned. Nothing. Olivia. To her right. Olivia. Behind. Olivia. Above. The voices were coming from everywhere now, all of them sounding exactly like her own voice. She started running, crashing through the rhododendrons, branches whipping past the camera, her breathing panicked, desperate. The voices followed. Olivia. 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 A chorus of her own voice calling her name. At 2:03 p.m., she burst out of the rhododendrons into a small clearing. She collapsed to her knees, gasping for air. The clearing was silent. The voices had stopped. She looked around, trying to get her bearings. Okay, I'm okay. Just panic attack. Just breathe. She took deep breaths, calming herself. Then she noticed something. In the center of the clearing, there was another cairn, identical to the one she'd found on the trail. She stood up slowly, walked toward it. Oh, I'm miles from where I found the first one. How is there another one? She reached out to touch the top stone. The moment her fingers made contact, the camera went dark. When the video resumed, it was 2:47 p.m., 44 minutes of missing footage. The camera was lying on the ground, pointing up at the tree canopy. I could hear breathing, slow, steady, but not Olivia's breathing. It was deeper, rhythmic, like something large breathing just out of frame. This continued for 16 minutes, just the camera lying there, that breathing sound, and occasionally shadows moving across the lens. Not tree shadows, these moved wrong, against the direction of the sun. Then, at 3:03 p.m., the breathing stopped. Silence. At 3:11 p.m., the camera's battery died. Olivia Grant's body camera was found 4 days later by a search team in a clearing approximately 2 miles off the Appalachian Trail. Her backpack was there, her radio, her equipment, everything laid out neatly in a circle around the camera, but no Olivia, no sign of struggle, no tracks leading away. She had simply vanished. The official conclusion? Lost hiker, probable animal attack, body never recovered due to dense terrain. But I knew better, because I'd watched the footage, and I knew something called her name in her own voice, something that made her camera go dark for 44 minutes, something that breathed over her equipment after she was gone. The second disappearance happened 14 months later. Ranger Jackson Moore, age 35, 8 years of experience, disappeared September 22, 2020, during a wildlife survey near Wilburn Ridge. Jackson's body camera footage started at 7:15 a.m. He was conducting a wild pony population count for September. Morning, folks. Ranger Moore here, beginning wild pony population count for September. Weather's perfect. Let's see if we can spot the Wilburn Ridge herd. His tone was relaxed, professional. He'd done this survey dozens of times. For the first 2 hours, the footage showed exactly what you'd expect. Beautiful mountain scenery, wild ponies grazing on the grassy balds, Jackson documenting their numbers, taking photos, making notes about their health and behavior. At 9:43 a.m., he stopped to drink water, sitting on a large rock with a panoramic view of the surrounding mountains. 17 ponies counted so far. Herd seems healthy. 1 new foal. That's great to see. He was about to continue when something caught his eye. What the? The camera panned to the left. In the distance, maybe 200 yards away, there was a figure standing completely still on the ridge. "Hey," Jackson called out, "you need to maintain proper distance from the wildlife." No response, no movement. Jackson started walking toward the figure. "I'm coming over there if you don't have a permit for this area." As he got closer, the figure moved. Not walking, it just shifted. In an instant, it was 50 feet further away. Jackson stopped. "Did you see that?" he whispered to the camera. He continued walking. The figure shifted again, further away. "Okay, that's not possible." He broke into a jog, trying to close the distance. Every time he got within 100 yards, the figure would shift. Instantaneous displacement, always further away, always perfectly still between movements. At 10:15 a.m., Jackson gave up the chase. "I don't know what I'm seeing. Some kind of optical illusion, heat shimmer maybe." But I could hear the doubt in his voice. He didn't believe it was an illusion. He returned to his pony survey, but he kept glancing toward the ridge where he'd seen the figure. At 11:30 a.m., Jackson entered a section of trail that cut through boulder fields. Large rock formations created natural corridors and caves. "Ponies sometimes shelter in the rock formations during storms," he narrated, "going to check for any injured animals." He climbed over and around massive boulders, the camera showing the dramatic geology of the area. Then, at 11:47 a.m., he found something. What is this? In a small alcove between 2 boulders, someone had created a structure. Dozens of small cairns, all arranged in concentric circles. In the very center, a wooden box, just like the one Olivia Grant had found. Jackson approached slowly. This is elaborate." He counted the cairns, 42 stone stacks, all perfectly arranged. This took someone hours to build. He picked up the wooden box, opened it. Inside was a folded paper. He read it aloud. "They walk between the trees. They know your name. Turn back before they call it." He lowered the paper, his face pale. This is the same message from the Olivia Grant case, word for word. He pulled out his radio. "Base, this is Moore. I've found evidence potentially related to the Grant disappearance, requesting immediate backup." Static. "Base, do you copy?"
Nothing. He checked his radio. What the hell? I was talking to base an hour ago. He tried again. Still nothing. He looked around the boulder field, suddenly aware of how isolated he was. Okay, documenting the scene, then I'm heading back. He took photos of the cairns, the box, the note. Then he turned to leave and froze. Standing at the entrance to the alcove, blocking his path, was the figure he'd seen on the ridge. But now it was close, maybe 10 feet away. The camera captured it clearly for the first time. It was roughly human-shaped, but wrong. All wrong. It was impossibly tall, maybe 8 feet. Its proportions were distorted, arms too long, legs too thin, and its surface, it wasn't wearing clothes. Its body seemed to be made of twisted branches, bark, roots, all woven together in a grotesque approximation of human form. But the worst part was the head. It had no face, just a smooth expanse of bark where a face should be, except for the eyes, 2 deep hollows that seemed to go on forever. Jackson made a sound, not quite a scream, more like a choked gasp. He stepped backward, deeper into the alcove. The thing didn't move, just stood there, blocking the exit. "Stay back," Jackson said, his voice shaking. "I'm a federal officer. I'm armed." He reached for his bear spray. The thing tilted its head, slowly, deliberately, like it was studying him. Then it spoke. "Jackson." The voice came from somewhere inside the creature, and it sounded exactly like Jackson's voice. "Jackson." "What are you?" he whispered. "Jackson, Jackson, Jackson." The thing took a step forward. Jackson sprayed the bear spray. The stream hit the creature directly. It didn't react, didn't flinch, just kept coming. Jackson dropped the canister and ran deeper into the alcove, but there was no exit, just rock walls. He was trapped. He turned to face the creature, pressing himself against the back wall. "Get away from me!" The thing stopped about 5 feet away, its head tilted the other direction. "Jackson." Then it raised one of its long branch-like arms, reached toward him. The camera captured everything. The moment the creature's hand, if you could call it a hand, touched Jackson's shoulder, the camera went dark. Complete blackout. No static, no noise, just absolute darkness and silence. This lasted for 23 minutes. When the video resumed at 12:33 p.m., the camera was on the ground, pointing up at the rock ceiling of the alcove. No sign of Jackson, no sign of the creature, but I could hear something. Footsteps, slow, heavy, getting closer. Then a shadow fell across the lens. Something was standing over the camera, something tall. The shadow remained for 47 seconds, then moved away. The camera recorded for another 6 hours and 12 minutes before the battery died. During that time, nothing else happened, just the camera lying there in the empty alcove, recording stone and silence. Jackson Moore's equipment was found 3 days later in the exact location the video showed. His backpack, his radio, his bear spray canister, all laid out in a neat circle around the body camera. But no Jackson. The official conclusion, fall injury, likely fell into an unmapped cave system, body irrecoverable due to dangerous terrain. Case closed. But I'd seen the footage. I'd seen what took him.
In a circle around the camera, but no Natalie. The campfire had burned out. The wooden boxes were gone. No sign of the creatures. Official conclusion: lost hiker. Probable animal attack. Case closed. But I knew what really happened. She hadn't gotten lost. She'd been taken. Taken by something that knew her name, something that called her home. By the time I'd watched the first 3 cases, I was shaking, not from fear, from the growing realization that something impossible was happening in those mountains, something that had taken 3 rangers, and there were still 2 more cases to review. I took a break, got coffee, tried to process what I'd seen. Then I started the 4th video. Ranger Cameron Ellis, age 41, 15 years of experience, most senior ranger to disappear. Vanished October 7th, 2022, while investigating the previous disappearances. Yes, Cameron had been sent specifically to investigate why 3 rangers had vanished from the same area. He knew about Olivia, Jackson, and Natalie. He'd read their files. He'd even watched their body camera footage. And he'd gone out there anyway. His camera footage started at 2:15 p.m. Ranger Ellis, October 7th, beginning investigation of disappearance sites. I'm starting at the location where Ranger Olivia Grant's equipment was recovered. He was standing in a small clearing about 2 miles off the AT. This is where they found her body camera and pack. No sign of struggle, no blood, no tracks, just her equipment arranged in a circle. He walked around the clearing, examining the ground. 3 years later, still nothing unusual about this place, just a normal forest clearing. But then he noticed something. Wait! He knelt down. In the center of the clearing, there was a depression in the ground, circular, about 6 feet across. This wasn't in the original investigation photos, he muttered. He pulled out a file folder, comparing crime scene photos to what he was seeing. The ground here is different, lower, like something heavy was sitting here for a long time. He touched the soil. Feels different too, denser, compacted. He took photos, made notes, then moved on to the second location, Jackson Moore's disappearance site. He hiked for 45 minutes, reaching the boulder field at 3:28 p.m. He found the alcove where Jackson had encountered the creature. This is where Moore was last seen. The video showed him backing into this alcove, then the creature blocking his exit, then darkness. Cameron examined the rock walls, looking for any sign of what happened. He found something. What is this? On the rock wall, there were marks, scratches, deep gouges in the stone. These weren't here in the original investigation, Cameron said. He ran his fingers over them. These are fresh, within the last few months. The scratches formed a pattern, not random, deliberate. Letters. He read them aloud. They are us. We are them. Between the trees, forever. Cameron stepped back from the wall. Okay, someone's leaving messages. Someone who knows about these cases. He pulled out his radio. Base, this is Ellis. I'm finding evidence of tampering at the Moore site. Someone's been here recently, possibly the same individual responsible for... His radio crackled. Then, Cameron. His own voice, coming through the radio. He stared at it. Base? The voice continued. Cameron, we've been waiting for you. He turned off the radio immediately. No, not happening. I read about this. All 3 rangers reported hearing their own voices. He looked around the boulder field. I know you're here, whatever you are. I know you're watching. Silence. Just wind and the distant cry of a hawk. I'm not like the others. I know your pattern. I know what you do, and I'm not running. Still silence. He waited for 5 minutes. Nothing happened. Okay, maybe I'm just paranoid. He turned to leave the alcove and stopped. Standing at the entrance, blocking his path, with 3 creatures. Same impossible height, same twisted branch and bark bodies, same hollow eyes. But these were different.
I could see it even through the camera. They were wearing something. Ranger uniforms, shredded, weathered, but recognizable. One wore Olivia Grant's name tag, one wore Jackson Moore's, one wore Natalie Brooks's. Cameron made a sound like all the air had left his lungs. Oh God, what did you do to them? The creatures tilted their heads in unison. The one wearing Olivia's name tag spoke. Cameron. It was Olivia's voice. The second spoke. We've been waiting. Jackson's voice. The third. Come home, Cameron. Natalie's voice. You're not them, Cameron said, his voice shaking. You're not the Rangers. You're something else, something that's imitating them. The creatures took a step forward. Cameron pulled out his service weapon, a Glock 22. Stay back. I will shoot. They didn't stop. Another step. I'm warning you. Another step. He fired. The gunshot was deafening in the confined space of the alcove. The bullet hit the center creature, the one wearing Jackson's name tag, square in the chest. It didn't react, didn't flinch, didn't slow down. Cameron fired again and again, emptying his magazine into the creatures. The bullets passed right through them, leaving holes that immediately closed up, branch and bark weaving back together like living tissue. "What are you?" Cameron whispered. The creatures spoke in unison, using the voices of the 3 dead Rangers. We are the trees. We are the mountain. We are forever. Come home, Cameron. Become one with us. Become one with the forest. Cameron dropped his gun. There was nowhere to run. The creatures blocked the only exit. He pressed himself against the back wall of the alcove. No, I won't. Whatever you are, I won't. All 3 creatures raised their arms simultaneously, reached towards Cameron. He screamed. The moment their hands, those twisted masses of branches, touched him, the camera went dark. Complete blackout, this time for 41 minutes. When the video resumed at 4:58 p.m., the camera was on the ground. The alcove was empty. No Cameron, no creatures, just his equipment scattered around the space. Then, something moved at the edge of the frame.
A figure walked into view, tall, made of twisted branches, wearing shredded Ranger uniform. It bent down, picked up Cameron's name tag from his scattered equipment. The camera captured it clearly as the creature pinned the name tag to its own chest. Then it stood up, turned toward the camera, and tilted its head. Cameron, it spoke in Cameron's voice. I'm home now. I'm part of the trees. I'm part of the mountain. Forever. Then it walked out of the alcove. The camera recorded for another 12 hours. Nothing else happened. Just the empty alcove and silence. Cameron Ellis's equipment was found 4 days later. Same pattern as the others. Everything arranged in a circle around the camera. But his name tag was missing. Official conclusion, lost Ranger, probable fall injury, case closed. But I'd seen the footage. I'd seen what he'd become. There was one more video to watch, the most recent case. Ranger Marcus Chen, age 33, 6 years of experience, disappeared June 18, 2024, just 4 months ago. Marcus had been sent to investigate Cameron Ellis's disappearance. Yes, another investigator, another ranger who knew about all the previous cases, and he'd gone out there anyway. But Marcus was different. He'd taken precautions. His body camera footage started at 10 a.m. Ranger Chen, June 18th, beginning investigation of the Ellis disappearance. I'm equipped with GPS tracker, emergency beacon, satellite phone, and I'm maintaining constant communication with base. He tapped his radio. "Base, radio check." A voice crackled back. "Copy, Chen. Reading you loud and clear." "Good. I'll be checking in every 30 minutes. If you don't hear from me, send in extraction immediately." "Roger that. Stay safe out there." Marcus started his hike toward Cameron's last known location. Every 30 minutes, like clockwork, he radioed base. "Chen checking in. All clear. Copy." He was careful, methodical, professional. For the first 4 hours, nothing unusual happened. He documented the sites where the previous rangers had disappeared, took photos, made notes, found nothing new. At 2:47 p.m., he reached the boulder field. Approaching the Ellis site, he radioed. "Copy. 30-minute check-in at 15:17. Roger." Marcus entered the alcove where Cameron had vanished. He examined the scratches on the wall. "They are us. We are them. Between the trees, forever." "Someone carved these after Ellis disappeared," Marcus said to the camera. "The question is, who?" He took photos of the markings. Then he noticed something new. Below the original message, there was another carving, fresh, very recent. It said, "Marcus Chen, we've been waiting. Come home." Marcus stepped back from the wall, his face pale. That's my name. Who knew I was coming here today?" He spun around, looking at the entrance to the alcove. Empty. This is a setup. Someone's watching the investigation. Someone knows. His radio crackled. "Marcus," his own voice, coming through the radio. "Base, is that you?" he said quickly. "Marcus, we've been waiting for you." "Base, I'm experiencing radio interference. Do you copy?" Static. Then, "Come home, Marcus. Come home to the trees." He turned off the radio, pulled out his satellite phone, dialed emergency services. The phone connected. "This is Ranger Chen, badge number 7734. I need immediate extraction from—" The voice on the other end interrupted him. "Marcus," his own voice, coming through the satellite phone. "Come home." He hung up immediately, checked his GPS tracker. The screen was blank, dead. He tried the emergency beacon. Same thing, dead. All of his communication devices had stopped working simultaneously. No, this isn't possible." He backed out of the alcove, looking around wildly. "I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here right now." He started running. The camera showed him running through the boulder field, back toward the main trail. He was fast, in good shape. He covered ground quickly. But after 10 minutes of running, he stopped. "Wait, this isn't... I should have reached the trail by now." He looked around. He was in a section of forest he didn't recognize. "I must have taken a wrong turn." He pulled out his compass, checked his bearing. The compass needle was spinning, not pointing north, just spinning randomly. Okay, think. The sun sets in the west. I can navigate by the sun." He looked up. The sky was overcast, no sun visible. Damn it. He kept walking, trying to retrace his steps, but after 20 minutes, he realized he was completely lost. Nothing looked familiar, and it was getting darker. At 4:15 p.m., Marcus stopped in a small clearing. "I need to stop and reassess, getting more lost by wandering." He sat down on a fallen log, pulled out his water bottle, drank, tried to calm his racing heart. Okay, they'll send search teams. When I don't check in at 15:17, they'll know something's wrong. They'll come looking. I just need to stay put and wait. At 4:30 p.m., he heard something. Voices, distant, calling his name. "Marcus, over here! Marcus Chen!" He stood up, relief flooding his face. "I'm here! I'm in the clearing!" He started running toward the voices. "I'm coming!" But as he ran, the voices got further away, not closer. He stopped. "Wait, where are you? I can't see you." "Marcus," the voice again, but now it was behind him. He turned. Standing at the edge of the clearing were 4 creatures, all wearing ranger uniforms, all wearing name tags: Olivia Grant, Jackson Moore, Natalie Brooks, Cameron Ellis. Marcus stared at them. You're not the Rangers. You're something else." The creatures tilted their heads in unison. Then they spoke, each using the voice of the ranger they'd taken. "We are the Rangers. We are the trees. We are the mountain. We are forever." "Stay away from me," Marcus said, backing up. "I know what you did to them. I won't let you." "Marcus," a 5th voice from behind him. He turned slowly. A 5th creature stood there, taller than the others, older somehow. No uniform, no name tag, just bare twisted branches and bark. "Marcus Chen, you've been searching for answers. We are the answer. You've been searching for the missing Rangers. We are the Rangers. They are with us now, part of the forest, part of the mountain, forever." "What are you?" Marcus whispered. The tall creature spoke. "We are old, older than these mountains. We have always been here, between the trees, beneath the roots. We are the forest itself, given form, and we are lonely, so lonely. So we call to those who walk our paths. We call them home. We make them part of us, forever." "I'm not going anywhere with you." Marcus pulled out a knife, the only weapon he had left. The creature tilted its head. "You have a choice, Marcus Chen. You can run, try to find your way out, wander these woods until exhaustion takes you, until you collapse into the soil. Or you can come with us willingly, become part of the trees, keep your consciousness, keep your awareness, live forever as part of the mountain." "That's not living. That's being absorbed, consumed." "No, it is transformation. It is becoming more than you were. Ask them." It gestured to the 4 ranger creatures. They stepped forward. The one wearing Olivia's name tag spoke. "It's beautiful, Marcus. I can feel the entire forest, every tree, every root, every leaf. I'm part of something infinite."
I'm not dead. I'm more alive than I ever was. I can feel the seasons changing, the rain nourishing the soil, the sun feeding the leaves. I'm everywhere. I tried to fight it, but once I stopped struggling, once I accepted it, I understood. This is where I was always meant to be. Don't fight, Marcus. Join us, become part of the forest, become immortal. Marcus looked at each of them. You're not them anymore. You're something wearing their faces, using their voices. The real Olivia, Jackson, Natalie, and Cameron are gone. We are them, they said in unison, and we are more, and you will be too. The tall creature raised its arm. Choose, Marcus Chen, transformation or death. Marcus looked at the knife in his hand, then at the creatures surrounding him. He closed his eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered, but I choose neither. He turned the knife around, pressed the point to his own chest. The creatures lunged forward. No, they shouted in unison, but Marcus was faster. The camera captured everything. Marcus drove the knife into his own chest, fell to his knees. The creatures rushed to him, their branch arms reaching out, trying to touch him, trying to transform him before he died. But they were too late. Marcus collapsed, the light fading from his eyes. The creatures stood around his body, their hollow eyes staring down at him. Then, slowly, they backed away. The tall creature spoke. He chose death over transformation. He chose ending over eternity.
It tilted its head, looking down at Marcus's body. So be it. He returns to the soil, but his essence will still feed the trees, still nourish the mountain. Nothing is wasted here. Nothing is lost. All becomes part of the whole. The creatures turned and walked away, disappearing into the trees. The camera kept recording. Marcus's body lying in the clearing, blood soaking into the soil. For 2 hours, nothing happened. Then, at 6:47 p.m., something changed. The ground around Marcus's body began to move. Roots emerged from the soil, thinned at first, then thicker. They wound around his body, covering him, pulling him down into the earth. Within 10 minutes, he was completely covered. The roots pulled him under, the soil closed over him, and he was gone. The camera kept recording until the battery died at 11:23 p.m. Marcus Chen's equipment was found 5 days later. Same clearing, same pattern, everything arranged in a circle around the camera. But this time, there was no body, just disturbed soil where the roots had pulled him down. Official conclusion: suicide, body consumed by local wildlife. Case closed. But I'd seen what really happened. I'd seen him choose death over transformation, and I'd seen the forest take him anyway. I spent 2 weeks analyzing all 5 videos, looking for patterns, looking for answers. Here's what I found. The cairns. All 5 rangers encountered cairns with wooden boxes containing warnings. The warnings got more specific with each case. Generic warnings for Olivia, personal warnings for Marcus. Conclusion: the entities were learning, adapting, getting better at luring their targets. The voices. All 5 rangers heard their own voices calling to them. This started with radio interference, then expanded to other devices. The entities could perfectly mimic human voices. Conclusion: they were monitoring the rangers, listening to them, learning their speech patterns. The creatures. The entities appeared as tall figures made of twisted branches and bark. They wore the uniforms of the rangers they'd taken. They spoke with their voices. They claimed to be the rangers transformed into part of the forest. Conclusion: either the rangers really were being absorbed and transformed, or the entities were incredibly sophisticated mimics, using the rangers' identities to lure more victims. The location. All 5 disappearances occurred within a 30-mile radius, all in remote, heavily forested areas, all at high elevation. Conclusion: this was their territory, their hunting ground. They didn't leave it, but within it they had total control. The equipment. All 5 rangers' equipment was found arranged in circles, always the same pattern. The cameras kept recording after the rangers vanished. Conclusion: the entities wanted the footage to be found. They wanted us to see what they could do. This was a message, a warning, or maybe an invitation. I compiled my findings into a comprehensive report and presented it to Director Thatcher. We met in his office, along with representatives from the Park Service law enforcement, the FBI, and several scientists. I played clips from the 5 videos, showed them the entities, the transformations, the patterns. When I finished, the room was silent for a long moment. Then one of the FBI agents spoke. "This has to be fabricated. Someone's creating elaborate hoaxes using special effects and planted evidence." I shook my head. I considered that, but all 5 videos were forensically analyzed. No signs of digital manipulation, no editing, no CGI. What you're seeing is exactly what the cameras recorded. One of the scientists, a professor of biology from Virginia Tech, leaned forward. If we accept that the footage is genuine, we need to consider what these entities actually are. The footage shows them as organic structures, primarily plant matter, wood, bark, roots, but moving with apparent intelligence and purpose. Thatcher frowned. Are you suggesting these are some kind of unknown organism? The professor spoke slowly. I'm suggesting that we may be looking at something we've never encountered before. A form of life that blurs the line between plant and animal, between individual and collective. Something that's been in these mountains for a very long time, long enough to develop sophisticated hunting and mimicry behaviors. Another scientist interjected, or we're looking at evidence of mass hallucination, some kind of environmental toxin in that specific area that causes identical delusions in everyone exposed to it. I countered, that doesn't explain the physical evidence, the equipment arranged in patterns, the carvings on rocks, the missing bodies. Thatcher added, doesn't explain the footage either. We have 5 separate cameras, different models, different years, all showing the same types of entities. The FBI agent spoke again. Regardless of what these things are, we have 5 missing federal employees, 5 unsolved cases. What's the recommendation moving forward? I took a deep breath. Close that section of the Appalachian Trail permanently. Declare it off-limits to all hikers and rangers, post warnings, enforce strict boundaries, and never send anyone else into that area. Thatcher shook his head. We can't close 30 miles of the Appalachian Trail based on unexplained disappearances and footage that shows, what, monsters? Living trees? The public would never accept it. I leaned forward, then lie. Say it's environmental damage, say there's hazardous terrain, say whatever you need to say, but don't send anyone else into that area. What about the hikers who are already using that section? Warn them off, reroute the trail, do whatever it takes, because if you don't, more people will disappear, and there will be more videos like these. The meeting ended with no clear decision, too controversial, too bizarre. No one wanted to be the person who officially acknowledged that something impossible was happening in the Appalachian Mountains. But I'd done my job. I'd presented the evidence. What they did with it was out of my hands. 2 months passed. Nothing happened. No decision was made about closing the trail. No warnings were posted. Business as usual. Then, on December 3rd, 2024, I got a call. Agent Pierce, this is Director Thatcher. We have a situation. My stomach dropped. What happened? A ranger went missing last night. Solo patrol in the Mount Rogers area. No. Her name is Ranger Sophie Martinez, 6 years experience. She knew about the previous cases. We briefed her on the risks. She insisted on going. Why would you let her? She said she had a theory, said she thought she knew how to communicate with whatever's out there. We tried to stop her, but she went anyway, unauthorized patrol. Where's her camera battery? Search team found it this morning, along with her equipment, same pattern as the others, circle of gear, camera in the center, still recording. I closed my eyes. Send me the footage. Already on its way, but Pierce, there's something else, something different about this one. What? The camera is still recording, right now, live feed, and it's showing something. I rushed back to headquarters.
got to the secure viewing room. Thatcher was already there, along with several other agents. A large screen showed a live feed from Sophie Martinez's body camera. The camera was lying on the ground, pointing up at the sky, same as all the others. But this time, something was different. Every few minutes, a figure would walk past the camera. The branch creatures, the entities, they were circling the equipment over and over, walking in a pattern. And they were wearing ranger uniforms, 5 of them. Olivia Grant's name tag, Jackson Moore's, Natalie Brooks's, Cameron Ellis's, Marcus Chen's, all 5 previous victims now transformed into these creatures, circling the camera. Then, as we watched, a 6th creature appeared, smaller than the others, fresher somehow, the branches less weathered. It wore a ranger uniform and a name tag, Sophie Martinez. "Oh God," someone whispered. The Sophie creature walked directly to the camera, bent down, looked directly into the lens. When it spoke, it used Sophie's voice. "Can you hear me? Can you see me? I'm still here. I'm still conscious, but I'm different now. I'm part of them, part of the forest, and I need you to understand something." The creature reached out one branch hand and touched the camera lens. "We're not monsters. We're not evil. We're just old, so old. We've been part of these mountains since before humans walked them. We're the forest itself, the consciousness of the trees, the memory of the mountain, and we're lonely, so lonely." The other 5 creatures gathered around the camera. "We call to those who walk our paths, those who love the forest, those who respect the mountains. We offer them a choice: leave and forget, or stay and transform, become part of something eternal." The Sophie creature continued. "I chose to stay. I wanted to understand, and now I do. I'm everywhere now, in every tree in this forest, in every root, every leaf. I can feel the whole mountain, the rain, the snow, the seasons turning. I'm immortal now, part of something infinite." "But we need you to understand something else," the creature said. "We're not going to stop. We've been calling for thousands of years, long before the Appalachian Trail existed, long before America existed. The Cherokee knew about us. They told stories, warned their people to stay away from certain places, but some still came, and we welcomed them, made them part of the forest." The 6 creatures stood together, looking into the camera. "You can't stop us. You can't destroy us. We are the mountain. You can close the trail, post your warnings, send your soldiers, but the forest will always be here, and we will always be waiting for those who hear the call, for those who want to become something more." Then all 6 creatures spoke in unison. "We are the trees, we are the mountain, we are forever, and we are calling, always calling. Come home to the forest, come home to eternity." They turned and walked away, disappearing into the trees. The camera kept recording, the empty clearing, the scattered equipment, and in the distance, the sound of wind through the trees. Or was it voices? Calling, always calling. The live feed from Sophie Martinez's camera is still active, right now, as I write this. It's been streaming for 8 days. The battery should have died after 12 hours, but it's still going, still showing that clearing, still recording. Sometimes the creatures walk past, sometimes they stop and look into the camera, sometimes they speak, always the same message:
come home. Director Thatcher made his decision yesterday. The section of the Appalachian Trail from Mount Rogers to Grayson Highlands is being closed permanently. Official reason: hazardous terrain and unstable geological conditions. Fences are being erected, warning signs posted, but we all know it won't be enough, because hikers will ignore the warnings. They always do. People will climb the fences. They'll want to see what's so dangerous, what's being hidden, and some of them will hear the call. Some of them will encounter the creatures, and some of them will choose transformation over escape. I've requested a transfer out of the National Park Service entirely. I can't keep investigating cases I know I can't solve. I can't keep watching videos of people being transformed into something else. I need to leave, to forget, to move on. But I know I never will, because I've seen the footage, all 6 cases. I've heard the voices, I've seen the creatures. And late at night, when I'm trying to sleep, I hear it, faint, distant, but there. Victoria, my own voice calling my name. Come home, Victoria, come home to the trees. I haven't gone to the mountains. I haven't answered the call, but it's getting louder every night, a little louder, and I'm starting to wonder, maybe the creatures are right. Maybe transformation is better than this half-life of knowing something impossible exists and being unable to do anything about it. Maybe becoming part of the forest, part of the mountain, part of something eternal. Maybe that would be better than carrying this knowledge alone. But not yet. Not today. Today I'm writing this report, documenting everything, making sure someone knows the truth about what's happening in those mountains. If you're reading this, if you're planning to hike the Appalachian Trail, please heed the warnings. Please stay away from the closed sections. And if you're hiking and you find a cairn with a wooden box, don't open it. If you hear your own voice calling your name, run. Don't stop. Don't look back. Just run. Because the forest is calling. It's always calling, looking for those who will listen, those who will answer, those who will come home. And once you answer, once you go to them, you never leave. You become part of the trees, part of the mountain, forever. Thank you for watching this investigation. I know this was long, I know it was disturbing, but you needed to see all of it. You needed to understand the full scope of what's happening in those mountains. 5 rangers vanished. Their cameras kept recording, and now we have footage of something that shouldn't exist. If this story affected you, if it made you think twice about hiking alone in remote wilderness, please hit that like button. If you want to hear more true stories from the national parks, stories about the unexplained, the impossible, the terrifying things that happen in America's wilderness, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Share this with someone who loves mysteries, someone who questions reality, someone who understands that our world is stranger than we've been taught to believe. Drop a comment and tell me, would you answer the call? If you heard your own voice calling you home to the forest, if you were offered transformation into something eternal, would you go? I want to know, because I'm still hearing that voice, and every day it gets a little harder to say no. Stay safe out there, especially on the Appalachian Trail, especially in Virginia, especially near Mount Rogers. And if you see something that looks like a person made of branches, if you hear your own voice calling from the trees, run. This was 5 Appalachian Trail Rangers vanished. Their cameras kept recording. Thanks for watching, and remember, some trails are meant to be left unwalked. Some calls are meant to be ignored. Some transformations are meant to be refused. The forest is calling. Don't answer.
Friends, that was the story for today. I hope you enjoyed it and that it stayed with you in the best chilling way possible. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Your time and support truly mean more than you know. This channel is growing because of listeners like you. If you want more real and disturbing encounters like this, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel continue bringing these stories to life. And if this story gave you chills, let me know in the comments. I read them all, and your thoughts make this community stronger. Until next time, turn off the lights, double-check the room, and I'll see you in the next story.